Our first guest is a security consultant and is well known and respected in the hacker community. He's the founder of dis.org, a group of professional engineers and computer specialists who work together on eclectic projects. This is Pete Shipley. He's also considered the pioneer of w.a.r driving. He's about to tell us about it. It's good to see you. You came on the show a few years ago, right?
Yes, it's fun to be back.
Yes, well, thanks for having me. It's very cool to have someone from dis.org here. We've known about you guys for a while and love it. Used to have a little dis.org t-shirt that Patrick brought me back from DEF CON.
Send replacement.
Yes, that's what you said. I wanted you to say it on TV so everyone else could hear you say it. So what is w.a.r driving? Let's start right there.
W.a.r driving is the mapping of open wireless networks. About 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I realized that as wireless networks are more prevalent, that a possible security concern. And after walking around, I realized, well, there are problems. But it's hard to walk areas, and in addition, I wanted to write a paper on this, and the only way to write a paper is to cover a large area.
Right.
So I outfitted the car. Now, before me, I'm not the first person to actually run around in a car mapping networks. People have done it before me with a laptop and a piece of pad of paper and a bunch of guys and 12 donuts running around. I was the first person to completely automate it. With what I did is when I got a GPS, I wrote some software that connects my GPS to my computer. My laptop runs FreeBSD. And I wrote some scripts in Perl that would communicate with the wireless card. And when I found a new network, would ask the GPS where we were, and I'd create a log file. And eventually I'd generate these quite verbose log files, and I wrote programs to generate maps of this, so you could visualize the data.
Yeah.
And it's shown that I have maps dating back about a year and a half now. And we've actually seen wireless networking get more and more dense in various areas because security has changed.
Right.
A year and a half ago, only 15% of networks actually use encryption. Now up to 30% use it. Not enough, but they're getting there.
Right. So you're in the Bay Area. Tell us about your work in Berkeley.
Well, what I've done is, well, since I live in Berkeley, one of the first cities actually detailed maps of was Berkeley in downtown San Francisco. This way we have residential and we have business.
So we got a map here.
Yeah, on the screen is a map of Berkeley. The red pins are people's home wireless networks that have utterly no security.
Wow.
Encryption. In fact, they're running in default mode, which means they got the device, took it out of the box, plugged it in, didn't even change the configuration settings, probably didn't even change the administrator password.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, the yellow-orange pins are people with no encryption but have done some changes, and the green pins are people who actually use encryption.
Right. So let's see the map of San Francisco. Also, there's a little bit of difference, I think.
Yeah, the San Francisco map was made to show the density of the area. Obviously, the areas that don't have any networks on it are areas that just didn't bother driving. Concentrated in the business district that day, and these are names of various networks. And it might be hard to read on TV, but you could. But these maps actually have various well-known corporations, banks, legal firms, and such. And these people have wide open networks, and every name on this is an open network.
Right.
If you stand in downtown San Francisco, for example, if you stand on Fremont Market Street, basically ground zero of the financial district, and just turn on your laptop without any special equipment, you'll have 8 separate corporation networks to connect to and have internet access.
Wow. So what kind of equipment do you have? I see you have this very cool vest here that has a lot of technology in it. What's going on here?
Well, traditionally we use a car, which we'll talk about later, but there's been nice summer days recently, and I figured, well, I don't like driving around all the time, so why don't I bicycle? So I dug out one of my tech vests, and I simply outfitted it with my GPS.
Wow,
here.
very cool.
In the shoulder, I attached a GPS antenna for better reception. This way I have a very strong link. And in the rear, I basically have a disposable computer, basically. Instead of putting one of my reusable laptops, I went to eBay, picked up a nice $200 computer.
Nice.
This way, if you fall off your bike, I'm not going to get too upset.
Yeah.
And this is everything you need.
Wow.
Another advantage I've discovered about this is if I wear a coat over it, I can literally walk into buildings, financial centers, and they don't look twice, and you get more detailed maps.
Okay, that brings me to a question. You're not doing this. I assume you're not doing this so that you can make money off it and steal, or else you probably wouldn't be telling us this on television.
No.
What's the reason you're doing this?
The reason I did it, I'm a security evangelist. A lot of times you tell, I've learned over the years, after about 15 years on the internet, that you warn people about security problems, they're going to ignore you.
Right.
But if you could prove demographically and statistically the problem exists, they'll more likely listen. So what I've done was all my w.a.r driving, I've actually kept strong demographic data. Everything I use in my research and the papers I've come up is data that I've gathered and researched and refined. And this is so I can basically write papers and prove to the security community that this is a problem.
Right. So you have to be secretive at first to get in there to be able to prove it, and then then
Not
that's why you
particularly.
wear
I
the
mean,
vest and the trench coat, so people don't know that you're...
well, if I was to walk into a office building like this, they'll tell you some of the package deliveries are in the rear.
Right.
It's,
Yeah, they probably would have some questions. All right, stay tuned, everyone. Coming back next, we haven't gotten rid of Pete yet. We're heading outside to take a look at how simple it is to set up a war driving rig.